Luckily, Brian's grown up. He's a bit older than that. He's got the business news for us. He's starting in France today. One of the casualties from the crushing defeat of Emmanuel Macron in Sunday's elections is planned reforms to the country's unemployment insurance system, Brian.
Stuart, this was to be President Macron's next target for liberalising the French economy and freeing up funds as his government sought to cut 20 billion euros in spending this year, facing a massive 5.7% projected budget deficit. The reform would have reduced the benefit period from its current 18 months down to 15 months for job seekers under the age of 57. It would have also required beneficiaries to have worked for 8 of the past 20 months in order to qualify. The current requirement is 6 months of work out of the past 24. Those changes were expected to save some 3.6 billion euros per year. The reform had been denounced by Macron's political opposition on the left and the right. Unions have hailed its withdrawal. Business groups, though, warn that the system's cost, along with a labor shortage, means that something has to give.
We cannot leave this system without a reform. It is a nearly 60 billion euro deficit. Meanwhile, there are 600,000 unfilled positions with business owners unable to find candidates. So one way or another, something has to change.
On to the markets then, Brian. How are they shaping up?
Here in Europe, Stuart, index is falling at the open despite some gains on Wall Street during Monday's session. The CAC 40 here in Paris down 2/3% after gaining 1% yesterday during what's known as a relief rally, as investors looked at the possibility of a hung parliament here in France as a better situation than an outright majority for the far right. All eyes now will be on Eurozone consumer inflation data due out later in the day for clues as to the European Central Bank's next move on interest rates. Over on Asian indexes, the Japanese yen hitting a 38-year low against the dollar. That has actually helped to boost exporters on the Nikkei. It's up just over 1.1%. The Kospi in Seoul, though, down nearly 1% as South Korea's official inflation rate comes in lower than expectations. Samsung shares are down slightly as a union representing tens of thousands of employees at the electronics giant says it is planning a 3-day strike later this month after talks over pay have broken down.
Finally, for business from Brian, this surprises me. The Olympics less than a month ago were in the height of the tourist season here in Paris, and yet apparently the hospitality sector is not booming.
Indeed, Stuart, some very underwhelming figures for hotels, especially here in the French capital, with occupancy rates well below their normal levels for this time of year. The Olympics were expected to bring a gold rush of tourist spending. We've already, though, seen holiday apartment rental demand fail to keep up with expectations. Now, hotels are wondering if the Games will deliver. Caitlin Kelly and our colleagues at France Télévisions have the story.
What was set to be a record-breaking summer for tourism in Paris has left parts of the industry disappointed. For this hotel in Montmartre, business has been nothing like previous years.
Normally at this time of year, every room is occupied, but today the first floor is effectively all closed off because there's no demand.
The hotel is only half full compared to an 80% occupancy rate in previous summers. Even promotions are not alluring guests.
I think the effect of the Olympics has been counterproductive. Everything's very expensive. The traffic restrictions, the tripling of the metro fares, and the tourist tax. These things, added to the bad weather, mean people aren't coming.
The story is similar across Paris. In June of last year, occupancy rates were at 90.3%. It's fallen to 78.8% the same month this year. This trend could increase as more neighbourhoods become inaccessible due to the Games. Some are dreading the next few weeks.
As preparation progresses, it becomes more complicated to reach places. You can see that with tour buses. Our clients are on such a strict schedule that disruption can stop people coming to sites in the heart of Paris.
But the build-up to the Olympics is exciting for some visitors.
I didn't even know the Olympics was going to be in France. So it's just such a coincidence, like a crazy coincidence that the Olympics is here and then I get to see the preparations of it. Like I always see it on TV.
Hotel owners are counting on this enthusiasm in the months to come.
And of course, it's not just Hotel Stuart. We saw this week Air France actually warning it was about to take a 180 million euro hit to its projections for the quarter as tourists avoid flying to Paris, to avoid the Olympics, in fact.
We'll see how it goes by the end of the season. Thank you, Brian. Brian with business on France 24.